So, we're back with another episode of Evolve Your Brand. I'm your host, Dave Gold, Conscious Business Coach. We're in Tulum, and today I'm sitting down with Alexander, who is an alternative, holistic healer and mentor for many men. So it's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be here.
Beautiful. So, I think for the people that don't know you very well, what I would love for you to do is give us a quick little backstory on who you are and how you got into doing this kind of healing work.
Okay, so I've always been a healer my entire life. I'm sure many healers have said that before on this podcast. But basically, I was initiated into shamanism in 2020 in Peru. And then from there, I came into Mexico, Tulum during COVID. Actually, this was in 2019. 2020, I came into Mexico and Tulum. I found the medicine of Tapezcohuite, or the medicine found me.
We're just diving right in. Where did you grow up, by the way?
Okay, I grew up in Canada, in Toronto, Ontario.
You grew up in Toronto, and I don't think anyone's ever used that line before, that they were always a healer. So like, how do you know that you were always a healer, or what kind of led you to this conclusion?
As a child, I would take on my parents, I can feel my parents' emotions when they were struggling or sad. So I always knew I was a different child, and I wanted to take care of my parents. So I remember a distinct story when we grew up. We didn't have that much money. We were fine, but we weren't wealthy. And I remember coming home, bringing a field trip to my parents, and I knew my parents didn't have extra money to go on a field trip, so I just didn't show it to them. I wanted to take care of them. I wanted them to feel like they can provide. So that's what I mean. I was always like a healer. It's like I can always feel into another person's emotions and see what they need. And I would sacrifice myself for the benefit of them. And that's actually what I do now with the medicine that I work with. We'll dive deeper into that in a little bit.
Yeah, wow. Because when I was growing up, my parents were constantly fighting and my mother was sick. So I was at an early age giving my mom shots in the arm of her medicine and I guess attempting to help her heal. Unconsciously though, not understanding what was going on and giving my parents an opportunity to get out of the path of trauma.
Yes.
And they chose to completely ignore me. Maybe they thought I was that I didn't know better. And at the end of the day, it's funny because I'm in this place right now where I see not that many people in my parents' generation open to doing a plant medicine ceremony, going down this path of healing. Many of them, they still think that this subject is quite taboo. So I'm wondering, was it ever taboo for you, or what was your initial thought process around plant medicine?
Well, I grew up Catholic, so I didn't know anything about this stuff. It wasn't until a friend introduced mushrooms, psilocybin, to me. And then when I was consciously aware to receive it, you have to be ready at an energetic level to receive plant medicine. And when I dabbled in mushrooms, it opened up a whole new world for me. And then I started exploring that path. But the key thing is you got to be ready for it to receive you. And you have to be able to receive it.
How old were you when that happened?
I don't know. In my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in my 20s. I don't know.
But did you always have this perception that taking psychedelics was more of a medicine, or did you ever experiment with it recreationally?
No, not at all. Recreationally in the beginning. To have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see things, have fun.
Because for me, like, I never knew about psychedelic psychotherapy until last year. In the beginning of 2022, I went to Ibiza after letting go of some of my top clients and letting go of this really beautiful relationship, and I knew I needed to change in my life. So one of my my coaches that I had been working on his business for a while, he actually facilitates this plant medicine, Bufo, 5-MeO-DMT. So I went and I did those ceremonies, and it really changed my life, and it brought me to Mexico. I then went to Colombia. I started a new mastermind, a new brotherhood, and it went really well. And then I started hosting these live immersions and events. And, we would do a little bit of, plant medicine under the right circumstance, more in like a microdose setting. However, just a few weeks ago at our men's retreat, we went really deep with Bufo. And I've started to really see the effects that the psychedelic psychotherapy can have not only on someone's healing, but also on someone's growth in their business or in their love life. So, before we get into the plant medicine that you work with, what do you think is the biggest or the most profound impact or transformation that you've seen in working with plant medicine in like a ceremonial manner?
Biggest impact on myself or on my clients?
Maybe both.
On myself, it was healing deep trauma, things that I wasn't even aware of, sexual wounding that I thought I healed came up to be released. And the biggest thing is healing stuff trapped in the body that we're not even aware of, like trapped at an energetic level. And this could be even layers deep from your parents' wounding that gets passed on to you. So that's my biggest realization with it. And then also purpose. It can align you to your life purpose. So that's happened to me in my life and then also in my clients' lives as well. And the medicine I work with specifically, it can also help align you to true love.
So let's get into it. So we've really gotten into plant medicine today on this podcast, Tapezcohuite, bufo, ayahuasca. And I also know that a lot of people get looped into going to ceremonies and continuing down this journey and never really feeling fulfilled, like they've experienced their higher calling or broken free from the trauma that they were suffering from. So what's your opinion on how long people should be experimenting with plant medicine?
Okay, so I'm going to speak about Tapezcohuite specifically. With Tapezcohuite, the medicine can heal you, but it's not going to do the work for you. What it will do is it will remove whatever is blocking you so you can come back to your organic divine blueprint, your true self, for you now to do the work and live life to your highest. So that is what the medicine does. It removes the obstacles. It's not going to make you wealthy, but it's going to remove what is preventing you from being able to be wealthy, for example. And there's this loop that happens when, especially with ayahuasca, I see a lot of people going to ceremony and then a month later another ceremony. I've never personally been there. I've done ayahuasca 10 times in my life, and the first time I did it was 4 years ago. That might seem like a lot, but it's actually nothing in the spiritual community. The real work comes after, the integration. And a lot of people have probably heard this word, integration. And it's because after the ceremony, you gotta start embodying what you learned from the journey and really take it on into your life. So after the plant medicine ceremonies, you come to this realization of love and what this world is really about and how to live. And then a few weeks later you forget and you start reverting back to your old ways. So the main thing is really not going to another ceremony, but doing the work, like journaling and living intentionally by what you learn. That's the key thing. And then being called to ceremony when you truly feel called by God. For example, myself, I love Tapezcohuite. I never want to take the medicine, honestly. It scares me because it's so powerful. When I take it, I love it. And I only take it for myself once a year, usually on my birthday, as a reminder, or when God is truly calling me to take the medicine and journey with it. But I do take it multiple times a year to help people, so that's completely different. Ayahuasca, I personally love ayahuasca, and I also take it maybe once a year, or if I'm bringing clients to ceremony, that's one of my missions as well, then I will take it with them, because they feel safer in my presence if I bring them to a ceremony.
Beautiful. So you help men to deepen intimacy with their beloveds and in their relationship. And so maybe they've been through a plant medicine ceremony, maybe they haven't. They come to you because they want to deepen that connection that they've already got going on. How do you help them exactly?
The first thing is embodying your masculine core. Becoming your true self. Within every man there exists a masculine core, and a lot of men have forgotten that. And once we start living in our primal, innate masculinity, then our woman can feel safe to surrender into her femininity. And just by that, naturally, you create more polarity, and the relationship starts to flourish. I'm a big advocate of the man doing the work, because just by a man doing the work, a woman just naturally starts doing the work herself, because as men we lead. So we have to create the structure and provide the direction for our relationship, and the woman will follow you. That's just what happens naturally.
And when you say the work, do you mean like going and getting a job and making the money, or chopping the wood, or bringing the meat home from the grocery store? What do you mean by doing the work?
I mainly mean like the emotional healing work. There's also the financial providership and the protector side, but it's mainly, majority of it is doing the deep inner work, like healing our trauma so we don't become reactive and we can respond to our woman from a more grounded state, more presence.
So do you believe that men should be the provider and taking care of all of the bills in the relationship?
If a man can, yes, or I do believe a man should desire to be that. But you can always, of course, if the woman wants to help, she can help as well. But there should be a desire within a man to provide and just working towards his best. Like if he can't provide, it's all right, but he should be striving to do that if he wants to be with a feminine woman. The key is if he wants to be with a feminine woman.
So we're actually hosting conscious relationship conversations on Thursday at Shane's house to talk about the differences in our beliefs and our opinions around relationships and dating and feminism and masculinity. And I'm wondering, where do you think that most couples or singles go wrong in terms of finding long-lasting romance?
That all comes down to self-love, to be honest. I don't believe in dating. That's one thing that might be triggering to a lot of people. I believe that you work on yourself. Of course, we have a desire to be with women when we're single, but I believe you don't need to date to find the one, to find the beloved. God will send her to you when you are ready. All you have to do is work on yourself and keep doing the things you love. Act or be as if she is there already with you. So what I did was I would go to the beach by myself, as if I had my woman by my side. I even went to restaurants by myself, as if I had my woman by my side. I went to sound healings by myself. And naturally, that's where I met my beloved. I met her in a sound healing because I was just doing the things that I normally would do if I was in a relationship. And that's how she came.
All right, top 5 places that you think men should go to meet their beloved.
Whatever is in your heart, whatever your heart is guiding to, that's how you're going to meet your beloved, through your heart.
Come on, number 1.
It doesn't work like that.
The beach.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I can't say that. I don't agree. It can happen at any moment. It can happen on the street, in a grocery store. It can happen in a cafe. It can happen in any moment, literally.
Mm-hmm. And I've experienced that in my life, meeting the loves of my life on the street in Australia, on the beach in Tel Aviv, in a mall in Budapest. Really just in moments where I went with it. Intuitively, I was like, I need to go and talk to that person.
Yes.
My heart is telling me like, yes, 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 yes. And then all of a sudden it turned into a really intense and powerful romance. I personally haven't found someone that I'm currently in a relationship with. However, I think that it's really beautiful what you're doing. And I think that more men could really benefit from getting out of this game that they're playing with themselves and with others, and really start being honest about what would be a sustainable way for them to find love in their life.
The thing is, if you're very clear on what you desire, there's no need to date, because if a woman doesn't meet those qualities, you will know right away, and you don't need to
unless you want to get laid.
It's different.
And that's actually a big topic that I've noticed a lot here in Tulum, that many men almost shame themselves sometimes for having fun or for having sex out of marriage or out of a relationship. And so I've gone from this, one extreme of it's glorified for men to be good in dating or in relationships, whereas with women there's this standard that sleeping around is a bad thing, to now in the more spiritual community, men have this really, I think, desire to be more intimate. However, I feel like what gets lost at times is really just bringing fun and play into the equation. And I've noticed that in myself, is that when I forget to have fun in my relationship with another woman or even with myself, then eventually it gets stale, it gets boring. So do you teach that as well? And do you advocate that as well in your relationship for making things fun and new and playful and exciting?
Yeah, it's about exploring, and then also continue to date her. That's where most men go wrong. Once we get in a relationship, it just becomes comfortable. continue to date her as if it's your first date, and will always be exciting.
So let's get into it. I hadn't heard about Tapezcohuite until I arrived in Tulum, and it wasn't initially when I arrived. It took some time before all of a sudden this word kept coming up. I even have a little bottle of like over-the-counter that, you know, is not psychedelic. So, and yet I've heard these stories that this plant medicine is so profoundly impactful. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you first heard about Tapezcohuite and how you got into this whole world?
I found Tepe back in 2020. I first did Cambo with a shaman, and then he told me that the medicine he actually works with is Tapezcohuite. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard of it. There's no information online about it. I've only heard of ayahuasca and the other ones. And he's like, yeah, Tapezcohuite is the most powerful plant medicine on earth. These were his words. His name is Akumats. And he told me a little bit about it, and I was intrigued. I trusted his energy because he just served me Campbell. And I felt called by God to explore this medicine. So a week later, we came into ceremony, and then I was served Tapezcohuite for the first time. And my life has transformed ever since, because now I'm working with the medicine of Tapezcohuite.
So what is Tapezcohuite?
So Tapezcohuite is known as the Mayan tree of life. So it comes from the Tapezcohuite tree. The difference is, there are a lot of people here in Tulum, when you tell them about Tapezcohuite, they might say to you, oh, I've heard of it. But there's actually two types of Tapezcohuite. There's one Tapezcohuite which is not the complete medicine, and it's actually used in Changa, and it's just the root bark of the tree. The medicine that I work with is made from the tree bark and the root bark. So together, from as above as so below, it makes the medicine complete. And this is ceremonial Tapezcohuite, and this is considered the most powerful plant medicine in the entire world right now in regards to healing. So that's a key thing. It's considered the most powerful in regards to actual healing.
And why is that though? Like ayahuasca, most people think of that as the most powerful healing plant medicine. It's like usually an 8-hour at least journey, sometimes through the night. All these things are coming up, people are throwing up. And also, you know, I've heard of Bufo, right? Super powerful, 5-MeO-DMT, ego death. Where does Tapezcohuite just come in and jump the line and become the most powerful plant medicine?
Okay, so similar to you, how you heard about ayahuasca and Bufo, Tapezcohuite is usually the last medicine that people find. And it's like climbing a ladder is what I say. You do ayahuasca, Bufo, and then Tapezcohuite is on like the final step. And that's why many people don't know about it. The reason why it's the most powerful is because, I'm gonna go deep here.
Please do.
With ayahuasca, it's possible that, I love ayahuasca personally, but it's possible in ayahuasca that people can have entity possessions. I've seen it happen, and it's also possible in Bufo as well. Entities, actually, strong entities, they love ayahuasca. It's like a playground for them. They dance in it, and I've seen them dancing around. So the difference is, ayahuasca is very healing. You can release entities, but Tapezcohuite, you can release entities that you cannot release in ayahuasca. So people who've done ayahuasca, who've done Bufo, when they come to Tapezcohuite, they release things that they can't release on the other plant medicines. And that's what makes it the most powerful. It removes all distortions within your energetic field, body, and soul.
So I don't know if we're gonna get into, or if you're open to sharing about this master here, down here in somewhere near Tulum. I've heard a few stories about how he gets very sick before or after the ceremony because he's taking on, I don't know, maybe those entities, or what exactly is this process of the shaman creating a channel of healing for the person that is undergoing this treatment?
So Tapezcohuite is the only medicine that I know of where the shaman can take on that's not the right words. It's the only medicine that I know of where the shaman can enter a journey of another person and remove the fears, the shadows, the entities, whatever it is that's blocking them. I've seen another shaman in peyote actually who was purging for another person, but he's not seeing what's happening. If I smoke with you and you're blocked, we will form like a connection. And whatever's blocked in you can come into me for me to transmute and release back to the earth. I cannot take everything, but if it's meant for me, I can remove it.
So you're saying you would take on that entity and then you would purge it and release it back to the earth.
Yes, exactly.
And that must be very painful, very, very difficult.
I wouldn't say it's pain. I guess it could be painful, but it's more before the ceremony, we start feeling sick. And that's a sign like, okay, I will have to smoke with somebody. Because I'm feeling their fear, and I'm actually feeling the fear of the entity that's about to be released. The entity doesn't want to be released. It's been a part of you for who knows how long. So before ceremony, I start feeling sick and I'm feeling fear. And then right before I give the medicine, it's like a sign like I have to smoke with them. Sometimes I don't feel any fear. And that's a great sign. That means the person can purge themselves and they can do the work themselves.
So what is your goal in life now that you've come through this journey, this process? Where does your evolution take you in the next few years?
I want everyone to experience the gift of Tapezcohuite. So ayahuasca, is grandmother consciousness, a very distinct consciousness. Tapezcohuite is considered grandfather, but even more than that, it's literally God, the consciousness of God. So I am not in charge of the ceremony, you're not in charge. God is in charge of the ceremony. And the difference between Tapezcohuite and DMT, for example, DMT, you smoke it, it expands your mind. You can kind of control it. Some people can control it. Tapezcohuite, you cannot control it. God will take you to where you need to go for your own healing. So it's unique to everyone. So that's the difference. That's why it removes all entities. Ayahuasca, you remove stuff, but very strong beings can still exist within the medicine.
And where should someone be at on their journey if they want to go through an experience with Tapezcohuite?
Well, as we're speaking about this, you will feel called right away. It is the most loving plant medicine in the entire world. But also, to be honest, anyone can take Tapezcohuite because if someone is having a hard time, the shaman can smoke with them and help them purge and remove the entity. So anyone can truly take it, but it has to call you. At an energetic level, the medicine will call you, and that's how you will know you're ready. I've only spoken about the healing of Tapezcohuite. I haven't spoken about the love that comes afterwards, after the healing.
Tell me more.
So Tapezcohuite, the journey is like this. You go into the underworld, and that's where you go to heal, release, and purge. And then you rise up to the upper world, the higher world. And that's when you're showered with love and abundance, and God just pours His love into you. And it feels like a full body orgasm of love. It's the most love I've ever felt under a plant medicine.
And is there usually someone playing music like at an ayahuasca ceremony?
Sometimes I hire musicians, but we usually play music and sing along with the music because as a shaman, at any notice, I might have to smoke the medicine to go under. So I can't sing and then stop. So that's why we would play music. And then if I need to smoke, if someone is struggling, if someone is in fear, that's the sign like, okay, you need to smoke because they're in fear. I would smoke and I would go under and I would purge for them and then come back.
So this is my final question on Tapezcohuite. When you smoke for the person, do you then fall back into your own process? Or are you still able to kind of remain conscious of what's going on?
I can remain conscious, I know what's going on, but I'm fully deep in the medicine and I'm only there for the other person. I'm not there for me. So literally when I go under, I think I'm under for maybe 5 minutes. And I'm there just to do the work, just to heal and do whatever I can, and then I come out right away. That's my intention. So it doesn't last long for me if I'm smoking with another person. If I'm smoking for myself, it can last 20-25 minutes for myself.
So what do you think is the biggest problem in the world? How is the world going to be able to change when more people take Tapezcohuite?
Well, it's walking each other home, so it's coming back to love. One of the first messages of Tapezcohuite is everything is love, todo es amor. And it just teaches you not to judge. I have a shadow of judgment. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the world, judging people without understanding. And the medicine just teaches you everything is love, like love everybody and we're all here together. And it's not that somebody is bad or evil, it's just that some people, I consider it's unhealed. And until we heal that, then only can they come back to love.
And that's something that I've noticed in Tulum as my time here comes to a close. I just have 10 more days. Yet very early on, I noticed that people in spirituality and community are often judging others and how far they've come on their journey. And there might even be people watching this interview or the shorts on the replay and judging you and thinking, who is this guy? How does he feel qualified to be a shaman or to heal people? Or maybe they don't agree with what you're actually doing. And
I would love to talk on this.
Sure.
So I had a little bit of, not fear, I don't know what the word is, but stepping into my power, because I'm not Peruvian, I'm not Mexican, or I'm not indigenous. So people might think I'm a charlatan. That's a word that gets thrown around when you work with medicine. I am a shaman of Tapezcohuite. I'm a medicine man of Tapezcohuite. I'm not a shaman of ayahuasca, of bufo, nothing, none of that. And the reason why is I was just chosen by God. I'm nothing special, in my opinion. All I do is I'm a vessel for God to do His work through me. And the only thing I do is I just beat fear. I never want to take the medicine. And there are times when I haven't, when I knew I had to. And that's all I have to do, to be honest. I have to beat the fear and smoke the medicine to help someone. And after that, God works through me. So that's all I have to do. God just chose me out of purity. I have a pure heart. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. If you meet me in person, you can feel it. But that's it. I don't consider myself special.
I feel that, after the healing retreat that I was just a part of with Tamas, and after the first ceremony, the Shaman, he said, there are 4 rules for your integration. To be humble, to have strong willpower, to be of sincerity with your word, and to have strong integrity. A lot of people are not humble now that you get to put yourself out there on social media, and there's so much validation from the likes and the follows, the amount of money that we're making, the lifestyle that we live. It can be really difficult to stay humble and for people to actually appreciate that humbleness. So
yeah. David, I'm not gonna lie,
yeah.
I consider myself humble, but I'm also not humble. I do have an ego as well, but I'm constantly working on that.
I love that.
It's about being human. Like, I'm a human at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I do my best.
I don't know if you can really be egoless.
Yeah,
however,
we need our ego to live here on earth.
Yeah, you can kind of be aware of your ego. Self-awareness is definitely one of the most profound ways to deepen your relationship with yourself in life, because I feel like awareness opens up the door to so many different ways of being and desires to evolve our consciousness and learn about healing modalities and plant medicine and community and abundance mentality and things like this. So this is just, for me, a journey of connecting with interesting people, individuals like you, who are looking for outside the box ways of impacting the world. So I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And if anyone really resonated with your message, what's going to be the best way for them to reach out, or how can they work with you?
The best way to reach out to me is through my Instagram, Alexander Hashari, or also my website, alexanderhashari.com. And currently right now I'm opening up a men's group, an online men's group for men who have never experienced the power of brotherhood. Because you don't need plant medicine to heal. For men, brotherhood is very impactful, and brotherhood has helped me heal a lot of my wounds with men moving forward. And then also, if you want to work with me one-on-one, I also have one-on-one coaching packages available as well.
Beautiful. So I'm big on brotherhood. We met at the Brotherhood, and I really support your mission. And I thank you for coming on the podcast today. And I hope that we get to do a round 2 sometime in the future.